All right. All right, Jesse. Thanks so much for being on the show here. Uh,
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
yeah, I'm so excited because, hey, this is the Elite Agent Talk podcast, and who better to have than the Agent of the Year?
Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations, man. And then what else was there? The Specialty Agency of the Year, and
Yep.
then the FFS Agency of the Year.
Yep. And I've got to actually credit that one to Howard Davidson, who's on my team now. Everybody, a lot of people have heard from Howard. He's done a lot of speaking. He won Financial Services Agency 2 years in a row, and I actually got the opportunity to purchase his agency in December. So that one's definitely credited to him. But yeah, it was an honor for sure.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that. So he
Yeah.
was an agency owner himself, doing a lot of FFS.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. He had a president's council agency and wanted to just focus on financial services. And him and I had been friends for years and, shared ideas and thoughts and stuff. And we're, one town away. And so, um, I kind of jokingly told him that he should sell the agency to me and he agreed to it. And then farmers let us do it. So it's been a blessing. So, yeah.
Wow, that was a good sales job on your part.
Yeah. Yeah. I got to quit making jokes. It cost me a lot of money.
Hey, with that one, probably not. But yeah,
Yeah.
that answers some of my question because I was going to say, man, as agency owners, we have so much stuff going on, and FFS is such a complicated thing on its own. Like, how can you be,
Absolutely.
multiple lines agency of the year? So that kind of answers my question there.
Yeah, I mean, you got to get a Howard. Nobody's actually asked me that question all year long. And here we are, the year's almost over with. But I mean, you've got to get a Howard. I would say you can't do it all. There's no way. I went to school and I have a degree in finance, and I love that stuff. But there's no way I could spend the amount of time, hunting down 401ks. You know, and I mean, you've got to build a team in
Yeah.
my opinion. So
Do you have everything kind of like lines with different lines? Well,
yeah,
I kind of want to talk about how you got started first, but we're
yeah,
right into it. But
yeah, sure.
that's a question. Like, do you have, because not everyone can do FFS, so that kind of makes sense. But what about specialty lines? Do you have someone, like a few members doing specialty, or personal lines all together, or commercial separate, or even service separate? Like, how do you kind of have it set up right now?
Yeah, yeah. So that's something that we started segmenting once we got enough team members, and I think it's important to do it. Everybody knows that the goal of the agency is just two things: to get new customers and keep our old customers. So we all have that top of mind, but then we have segmented the team into service team and sales team. And then Howard is, the financial services department. We've got a Medicare department. So we've departmentalized those things because it's really hard to do it all. So yeah, we've definitely segmented as possible. You know, um, 5 years ago, everybody did everything, in my agency, and that's how we got started. So I mean, you have to start somewhere. But I would say, one thing that I definitely tell everybody all the time is as soon as you can start getting areas of focus, whether it's just sales and service, you're gonna be able to keep track of that a lot better. So
Yeah, and you want to have the right people doing the right things,
yeah.
and play to their strength, and has certain people be expertise at certain lines of business. So I definitely agree with you there. I was reading your bio. It's kind of interesting. You said after graduating from college at 23, right? You opened up a scratch agency. Same story as me, 2007. That's
Nice.
when I started my agency too.
Awesome.
Um, but you started with farmers because that was the only company that would hire you.
Yeah, exactly. I did an interview with like every bank, every thing in town, and that's not a lot because it's a pretty small town. But nobody wanted to give me a shot. I guess farmers had nothing to lose for a scratch agent. So
What town?
Grand Junction, Colorado.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So did you go in thinking like, hey, I want to look for like a entrepreneurial job, or were you thinking any job will be fine, or did you have any criteria?
The job that I actually got, so it's not true that nobody would hire me. A local bank hired me as a teller, and not to say that there's anything wrong with being a bank teller. I loved that job. It was a ton of fun, but it's not, it wasn't my life dream and what I went to college for 6 years for. The president of the bank actually introduced me to the farmers district manager that hired me and said, "Hey, you should check this out. I wish I would have done it when I was your age. I'd probably be making a lot more money now." And those were his exact words. And now he's a client and great referral source. And I actually insure everybody, from that bank now. So it was that's how I got introduced to farmers. And I went in not knowing anything. The district manager basically was like, I think he showed me like the biggest agent that he had's folio and was like, "Hey, this could be you, go get licensed and come back." And I was licensed in less than 2 weeks. And he's like, "Oh, wow, I didn't think you'd come back. So let's give it a shot." So that's kind of how it went when I was new. So
That's crazy how we all get started, like those like slight like chances of what, it's like you never know what gets you started. But
yeah.
that now 10,000 policies in force, 2 locations, 13 team members. Um, and you got to be, has there been any agency that won multiple like awards in 1 year when it comes to President's Council?
Somebody from home office told me that nobody's ever won three at the same time.
Yeah,
So that's what they said. So
it's got to be
I
tough
don't
to,
know.
I'm kind of like, a one-trick pony. I'm
I,
starting to develop other lines, but it's hard to be so good at everything, So, and then FFS and specialty, those are kind of different things.
yeah.
So that's amazing.
I think it was a miscommunication. Honestly, I think, I mean, maybe not. I don't know. I've told myself, hey, it was probably just because everyone was disrupted from COVID, and nobody got to talk to each other. Otherwise, they would have said, "Oh no, don't do that." But maybe everyone was shocked on the phone too. I don't know. Who knows?
No, yeah, no, I'm sure everybody was at home, so they had extra time to think about it. So on the
I don't
flip
know.
side, I'm pretty sure they went through everything and got
Yeah.
got it right.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
Yeah, no, something to be extremely proud of. But so you guys hired, or you started with farmers, and tell me about the early years. Like, what was some
Yeah.
of the challenges or some of the aha moments that actually turned the curve, or what were those years like? The first 2, 3 years.
Yeah, so the first year, was actually pretty good. I felt like I did a good job. Did got off to a decently fast start for a one-man band, 23 years old, thought I knew everything, actually knew nothing. Um, and, I had no money, no training, nothing. So I just kind of started throwing stuff at the wall and, going with what stuck. So I got off to a pretty good start, and then I kind of developed a bad attitude over time. It was really just life. I was, you know 25 years old, and being a dumb 25-year-old at the time, and just having fun. And I'd go snowboarding every day, or go to the gym and do fun stuff. And I would tell myself that I would try to make excuses as to why I couldn't do good. And I wound up not selling much of anything. I mean, if there was a AGM back then, I was probably like quadruple Z, so like terrible. I'm pretty sure my district manager wanted to fire me, which is not the district manager I have now, whom I love. Um, but and then I finally decided that I wanted to grow up and be, something that my family could be proud of, and got a better attitude and turned around. So, the real aha moment you asked for me was whenever I decided to change my own attitude and quit being a victim, or telling myself that I was a victim, that there were all these things, preventing me from being successful, and just decided to get it, no matter what. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know about that. I didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, the victim mentality. I mean, that's just a dangerous place to be in. And then, yeah, for you to say it is all about attitude, that is what
Yeah.
just changed everything, huh?
Yeah. I was actually about to quit. Um,
Wow.
and I just decided, hey, I'm already here. I'm making a little bit of money. I might as well try to re-engage, double down. I moved my office into a building that had, for Grand Junction, is a pretty small town, but it had one of the largest real estate offices in the same building, and also one of the largest mortgage companies was in that same building. And I thought it would probably be a good idea. I didn't realize that it was probably the best idea that I'd ever had to that point. because they just started walking people in the door. I just made friends with them, and they just started walking their customers in and asking me to help them. So I just started, getting referrals and networking with those realtors and lenders, and that's kind of still our game plan. So
Oh, really? Okay. Thanks
yeah,
for sharing that. So
yeah,
your location really just changed everything then.
it really did. And it's funny. My district manager, the old one that I didn't really love so much, and probably didn't love me so much either because I was the worst agent in the country. He told me it was a terrible idea to move my office there, and I said, well, I'm going to go ahead and give it a try because I don't think it can get any worse. Turns out it was the best idea that I'd ever had. Um, because within, I think maybe a year and a half, I was on a webinar, and they said that I was the number one writer of auto insurance in the state. And I was like scratching my head, wondering how on earth is that? All I'm talking to people about is home insurance, but it was just from all the auto that we were cross selling off of the homes. So yeah, I mean, it's great. And to this day, my office is still on the ground floor of a different mortgage company, but they're the top two stories and I'm the first story. So it's like, you know, the best office location on planet Earth, because everybody that walks by my door is buying a house right now. So
Wow.
yeah.
What is your way of building a relationship with your neighbors at your office?
Yeah. So, I've got a couple of like little tips and tricks that I do with random ones. Now I can tell you the guys that are on the top floor are all my best friends. So
Okay.
like when I'm like, it's like they're just my buddies, like
Right.
if I'm going on vacation, or I'm probably going with them, if I'm at a barbecue, it's probably their house, so just honestly, they're awesome people, they're like my family now. So, um, it didn't start out that way. It started out of just, you know, meeting them and then just doing a really, really good job for them, going fast when they need a certificate, make sure it's lightning fast. If they need it at 7:30 at night, send it to them,
Hmm.
and just doing my job right and helping them do their job, because they can't close their deals without what I do,
Hmm.
and I don't want to be the thing that holds them up or puts more stress in that situation. And then just they know that we're going to be one thing in that big process that doesn't cause them any problems, so they trust us and they send everybody to us because they know we won't mess up. um, and then just being a human, like who's got too many friends, right? Like just if I'm going to lunch, I'll invite one of them, or vice versa, so just you can never have too many friends.
Yeah, it's all about
So
building relationships. But
absolutely.
yeah, I think for anyone who's listening to what offices to move to,
Yeah.
that's something to consider. I mean,
Honestly, you got to pay rent to somebody. Why
right.
should it not be to a building that's going to have natural people with money because they have a job, credit, buying a
Mhm.
house, timing, everything. And that means they need life insurance, they have cars, they might be a business owner. It's it's honestly the only locational thing that in my opinion, that I think matters.
So,
Um,
so you said you moved, right? So you doubled down on that philosophy and found a mortgage company that has two stories, two full stories.
yeah, yeah, it was actually you know, um, you know, uh, they move around, right? And
Uh,
some of the ones from the place where I was before, they moved over to the location where I am now. And turns out this place they're actually like the number one place in the entire county for mortgages. And they said, hey, we're tired of sending our customers over there to meet with you. How about you just move into the bottom floor? And so we can just tell them to come downstairs. And I said, okay,
yeah,
so what
like
are you
don't
going to
leave
say?
me.
No, like,
Yeah,
so yeah. So
yeah, you followed in order here.
yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I mean that's the best clients, Is that still like your number one marketing strategy, or is there anything else to supplement that?
Absolutely. Our number one marketing strategy is just help lenders and realtors close their deals. They
Hmm.
can't do it without it. They can't do it without us, right?
Hmm.
You can't unless you're paying cash, and that'd be pretty silly to not get homeowners insurance. But um, we just try to do a really good job for them, make the process easy, and we're very service oriented for the lenders because they've got a hard and stressful job, and we don't want to be the ones that You know what I'm talking about? Like
Yep.
didn't put the middle initial on the certificate and they got to send it back and ask you to do it. You
Yep.
know, like I asked you for the middle initial to be C. Why didn't you put it on there?
Hmm.
You know, just silly stuff like that. We just make sure that they don't even have to ask, you know, do it right. So yeah, that's our number one marketing to this day. That's really all we do.
And then how do you pivot to the actual client and cross sell to them? Like, what's your strategy there?
Yeah. So we've got, you know, so I think I don't remember who it was, but they told me that you need to do such a good job on the first policy that you sell that you earn the right to ask for all of the rest of the policies in the household.
Mm.
So that's kind of the philosophy that we have. We want to do such a good job on the homeowner's insurance that we earn the right to come back and ask for more. Because if you blow that, you know, you definitely can't come back and ask for anything else. So in order to do that, you know, originally it was just me selling all of this. And of course, you know, I can control all of the things that come out of my mouth, you know, usually, right? Like what I say
Yeah.
to the customer and how I handle the prospect and the transaction. But once it had to transition eventually to where I'm not the only one selling, you know, like we all have that phase where it's like, all right, I was the one selling everything. Now I've got to teach all of these other people how to sell stuff and I can't be the one selling it anymore. So, you know, through trial and error, we just have scripted out all of that process. So if, you know, it's just a simple formula, right? You know, if this is what you say after you take care of the home to get them to say yes to like, they'll take an auto quote. So we've just been refining the scripts. We've got a lot of psychology built into it.
Hmm.
You know, Howard taught me that the quality of your answers is determined by the quality of your questions, right? So, you know, and you know this, if you just say, hey, would you like an auto insurance quote? Everyone says no. How fun does that sound? But if you ask that same question just a little different way, worded it differently, you might get a different answer. So, you know, all of our scripts, we've been, you know, refining them over the years
Hmm.
in order to get the correct answer from the customers so that they'll just let us take care of them. You know what I mean? So
Nice. So you have all the questions all written out. Is it also planned out like how soon to contact them, like after the home closes, or
yeah,
is it pretty detailed like that?
yeah, we get it all at once. We get
Okay.
it all up front, and it's just built into. So our quote sheets all have scripts built into them. You know, so like when you're a new agent, your district manager gives you the quote sheet, right? And they're like, "Here's all the information you'll need for a quote." When you're talking to somebody, fill it out. So I've digitalized that, or however you say it, digitized it,
Hmm.
and put it into a cloud-based notebook, and that allows me to edit it and do whatever I want with it. And we've built scripts in between the information that you need to get. So, you know, as soon as you get to this point, you say this, which is how you go from home to auto every single time. And then once you're there, you say this, and that's how you go from home and auto to life every single time, you know, and that's so, you know, when we get the call, we're swinging for the fence every single time. I'm trying to hit a grand slam every single time they call for a home quote. I'm going to get the home for sure. I'm trying to get all their autos. I'm going to get all their toys because I'm going to ask about, you know, specialty products. And I'm going to try to get their business insurance information, and I'm going to do a life insurance needs analysis. So I'm going to capture the life as well, all at once, and it's just scripted out. And for, you know, for a new, as a new agent, you know, I had no idea how to do that, but as you know, as we've developed over the years, we keep, all right, so we're selling all the homes. How do we get the home and the auto? All right, great. We're getting the home and the auto every time. How do we get the home and the auto and the life now? You know, so we just keep adding to it, and it's working pretty good now, finally.
Yeah. Now the fact finding part, do you have the actual producers do them, or do you have like like a marketer or slash like some a position that kind of like gets the uh fills those forms out for them, or how does that work out?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. So when somebody calls in, if they push option 2 on our phone tree, they want a quote. It immediately goes to my internal sales team, which are the folks that are, going to be running the quote and helping onboard that customer. And if they're available, they'll answer. Unfortunately, they're not always available because they're also on the phone selling stuff. So
Hmm.
then it will roll over to another ring group internally that has my service team included. But it'll notify them on the VoIP system that it's a sales call. And so they'll grab it and they have the same scripts on their system, and they're trained on it as well, so they know exactly what to say, just like anybody. And it's
Hmm.
all a script, so all they have to do is read it,
Right.
and plug in the blanks. So that's something that we train them on real quick. As soon as we start teaching them how to answer the phone, they're able to take that incoming lead and get the home, the auto, the life opportunity, all of it
That's
up
awesome.
front. Yeah.
That's cool that you have. It's amazing what we could do with the VoIP sense systems, huh?
Yeah.
How you could route things, and if this
Yeah.
person's not available, then you could have this group.
Yeah.
Is that something you set up yourself?
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah, it's
I
hard. It's not
it's
easy.
yeah,
I
I'm
played
like the
around with it, and I'm like starting to see like all the potential, but it's like,
yeah.
yeah, but it's
Uh,
worth it to set up, right? So,
yeah, you know, somehow I figured out some of this technology stuff, on my own, which is huge because, we use a lot of technology. We're actually paper free in my office. Like most of my team, they're not allowed to have paper on their desk.
yep,
We just don't use it.
yep.
Because it all just goes into our cloud notebook. So, um, yeah, the VoIP system is great, except for what you mentioned of I had to figure out how to program it. So,
Yeah,
yeah, a little bit of a beast.
but yeah, I mean, talk about how valuable that script is. I mean, doesn't that make training, it actually makes a new hire's job easier for them because, you know, I feel like when you have a new hire, it frustrates them when they don't know what to do.
Oh yeah.
So you give them something exactly what to say. It makes their job easier. It makes your job easier. So I mean, having that scripted out, but that must have taken you a long time to have that ready too.
Oh yeah. It's taken years to develop, and we're on version like 7,562 of it. So, um, but it is absolutely essential, and we've really built the scripts out more than ever this year because 2020 has been a rough year for everybody. I lost 10 employees this year, and
Oh
my
wow.
team's only 13 people, so I've had to get new people, to sound like seasoned pros really, really quick.
Hmm.
Um, and building those scripts out is really the only way that I knew how to do it. And, you know, luckily I've been able to get those new people, operating at a high level by doing that. And I've had people in the past before I had everything so systematized. I've had people quit just because they were so frustrated with, they don't know how to do things. I'm busy. I can't hold their hand, and I'm like, hey, just call, the help desk and they'll walk you through it, but that's just no way to be. So,
Yeah. Yeah, no, I feel for employees, when they don't know what to do and they're not good at it, then it's not a fun job, but you give
yeah.
them all the tools to be, good or even great at their jobs, and the job becomes a lot more enjoyable. So
Yeah.
that was key to develop that. I see, and you have it. Well, tell me a little bit more about the way it happened. I mean, that's kind of a challenge, I would say. 10 old and 10 new coming in.
Oh, you mean how we've had that happen this year?
Uh-huh. And how did you recruit so fast? Like, how did you?
Um,
Man, that must have been a
so
crazy, busy year
it,
for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a whirlwind, and especially in an environment where you can't really like set somebody next to you and say, "Here,
Mhm.
we'll just be office buddies, and I'll show you how to do everything." And then I'm breathing on you, because nobody wants that now because of COVID.
Yeah.
And my offices are an hour and a half drive from each other, so
At
that
two
makes it.
locations.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
right. So, I mean, we don't need to get into all the gory details about why people, have left, but it's been, from A to Z, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, I
How'd you
I
staff up so fast?
I staffed up quickly by, my recruiting strategy is probably different than a lot of other people's, I think. Um, my district manager, James Purcell, he's like the best in the world. I told him, hey, before Farmers was really promoting ideal traits, I told him, hey, my buddy, another DM in Denver, Jared Seil, told me about Ideal Traits, and I was like, hey, will you buy this so I don't have to and I can use it? And of course, my DM, being amazing, did. So we've been using Ideal Traits for quite a while, and I really like that system. Um, and I tend to hire people that others wouldn't. I think maybe they would. I don't know. I love
what do they say, like inconsistent or
no, no, no. I love to hire people with no experience.
Oh yeah, yeah, okay. Gotcha.
I almost refuse to hire people with experience in the insurance industry because we do things so differently. And I have hired quite a few people with experience, but just, it almost seems to hurt them more than anything because they have all that stuff that they learned somewhere else. And when they come here, I'm like, hey, this is this is Sparta, right?
Mhm.
Like we're not running at 2 miles an hour. We're running at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and you're not allowed to have paper, and you're not going to sell 10 policies a month. You're going to sell 110 policies a month. So it's just bad habits that I have to break, is what I feel like with experienced people, unfortunately. So I love finding people that maybe haven't had like a real opportunity to like get a shot in a professional environment.
Mhm.
I love finding new college grads because I can remember being a college graduate, and only thing I could find is a bank teller that was paying me like $10 an hour, you know. So I love hiring recent college grads, give them a shot at a professional office. Um, I've got one amazing team member that's like shooting through the ranks right now. She's working on an MBA right now. She's just graduated, and she's like, yeah, I can't find a job. I've got no experience. I was a tutor, all through college. That's the only job I've ever had, and nobody will hire me without experience. How am I going to get experience without experience? So um, I like finding people that need an opportunity and are willing to, go the extra mile for that opportunity. And um, I really hire on intelligence, um, which I am now using Ideal Traits to try to determine, right, if you do
Mhm.
good on the problem solving.
Mhm.
Um, I hire on likability,
Mhm.
right? When I'm interviewing them, I'm basically just trying to figure out if I like this person or not,
Yep.
right? Because if you don't like, if you're smart and you're nice, I can teach you insurance. If you know insurance and you're not smart but you're not nice, then it's just going to be a disaster. So that's kind of my recruiting process. But like my operations manager, she's a amazing young lady. Her name's Ashley. Um, she started working for me when she was like 21 or something, and had no experience, and is just probably never should have hired her. And I'd say this if she was sitting here, and she'd say, yeah, you probably should have never hired me. But she's grown so much. She now runs my whole office. She's my ops manager. She's also, consistently ranked in the top 20 of agency producers in the country on, life and personal lines and specialty. So, you know, who would have thought, but probably same thing for you and me. Like who would have thought we would have done well. So I like trying to find those people.
Yeah. No, it's kind of interesting because everything you said is just the same thing that I do.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Right.
yeah, just looking for likability. I feel like when you hire somebody, you're kind of helping them because you're paying them and you're training them. So you kind of have to like them to help them,
Hmm.
and and then the
Yeah.
patience it takes.
Yeah.
How many years did it take her to be your operation manager?
Uh, 5, 6 years.
Yeah, compared to the very beginning, I'm pretty sure,
Oh yeah.
sometimes you might think like, man, how is this person ever going to get to a level that it'll be good? But just with
Hmm.
patience and just persistency, they do. So those are the type of things I look for too. Yeah, no, and yeah, I really don't think any of my producers had, previous experience. I think that's really interesting.
Yeah,
So
and if they did, it probably wouldn't have been relevant because you operate on a different pace than everyone else, I'm sure. So
mhm, yeah, so yeah, I agree. I 100% agree with you there. And yeah, back to those scripts, and you have those available now, right? I think from what I saw on a top shelf post, I think you mentioned.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So we've made them available to purchase for agents or district managers. I've been sharing some info on that. Essentially, everything that we do. I've got it to where I can sell it to other agents now, and they can just plug it in and it's ready to go. They don't have to reinvent the wheel. And of course, it's all stuff that they could make on their own if they wanted to. But, I think it'd be a lot quicker and more effective if I could have rewound 13 years ago and just paid for it, it would probably help me out quite a bit. So,
Yeah, no, that's
yeah.
exactly the word. They would have to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah, 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 and it's not worth it. I mean, it's already there's not that much that's new anymore. And I've learned a ton from other people over the years. We all share with each other and stuff. So yeah, it's something that I'm happy to share. And anybody that wants it can just email me. Everybody's got our email address is just jdryer@farmersagent.com. So.
Okay, cool. No numbers or anything like that.
Yep.
J
No
Dryer.
numbers. I'm
Okay.
one of the lucky ones. Yeah.
You're the original J Dryer.
Yeah. The original J dryer.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no, that's good. I'm all about helping out other agents too as much
Yeah.
as possible. So that's awesome because that is something so valuable to have scripts. So you have even for agency owners, they for newer ones too. I think that's going to be
Oh yeah.
valuable. But if you have producers and things like that, that's great. But don't be shy to share us any coupon codes if you have any.
Yeah. Right. I'm not that tech savvy. I don't know about any coupon codes.
But
I'll
yeah,
have
no,
to.
it's only fair to charge, and I think that just you want to have people using it that invested in it, that are willing
Yeah.
to, um, that's part of growing a business is to be willing to spend the money to learn and to get improve your agencies. I can't think of a better investment where if you pay something and it's going to help you grow your agency, that's money well spent in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Cool. What about the specialty part? How'd you get to the agent of the year there? Because that's, is it due to your location? Do you have something special going on there, or
No, I mean, we are in Western Colorado. It's fairly rural, so there's a fair amount of ATVs and that kind of stuff. But it's not like there's no lakes around here, so there's not boats. A majority of our specialty that we write is actually homeowners.
just the
So
cross-selling? Oh no, oh the
homeowners,
homeowners. I
yeah.
gotcha. Yeah. Okay.
Yep. So manufactured homes, landlord policies, maybe homes that don't fit the underwriting guidelines for farmers, for whatever reason. Foremost has products that have more flexible underwriting, the dwelling fire products. And I think a lot of agents, I don't know, maybe this is just my perception. I think a lot of agents don't remember those sometimes,
Hmm.
or they don't even offer them, or maybe they don't know the underwriting guidelines on the different products. But um, we just use that as a tool when farmers isn't an option. And so a majority of our specialty is homeowners. um,
Gotcha.
yeah. And then of course, it's built into our system too, like on the quote sheet when you're at, after you transition from home to auto. Part of the auto process is, we say, yo, and hey, do you have any fun stuff like boats, four-wheelers, ATVs, motorcycles, jet skis, any of that cool stuff? Like that's exactly what the script says.
Hmm.
And people want to talk about that. They're like, oh yeah, I've got like, blah, 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 blah. And they'll just tell you about it. And then we just quote it all at once. So we don't ever leave anything on the table.
And sometimes they don't even have those things insured.
Yeah.
This is
Oh
crazy.
yeah. Yeah. They're like, oh, isn't that covered in my garage on my homeowner's insurance? I'm like, no, no, no. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's good to ask. I mean, just asking is, sometimes just the key. So
Yeah. Well, having the script to remind yourself to ask,
absolutely.
that
Yep.
helps a lot.
Yep.
Wow. Yeah. So, wow, that's interesting. One other thing I just thought about because when you said foremost, because foremost has really helped me also because with the UQI was, you don't want to write a bad home, you know,
Yeah.
how much that affects you. And with that, going away, what, or just let me just throw it out there. Like, what are some thoughts or initially, because, there's a
Yeah.
lot of math involved, but the new comp plan, I want to know your thoughts on that.
So, maybe we shouldn't go to that one, but I'll answer your first question first, and then we can talk
Okay.
about it. Uh, Yeah, so definitely, yeah, UQI, we want to underwrite the homes regardless of whether UQI is part of the bonus or not. I remember when they started UQI and they started talking about it, and I was like, who cares about UQI, and then all of a sudden, well, oh, this bonus is tied to it. And I'm like,
It changes everything.
dang, I wish I would have known. And it taught it made us get better is what it did. It made us get way better at what we do. And if we don't take care of underwriting, the rates are just going to go south. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's you might think that, oh, I can slide one or two things in here and maybe it won't affect me. It will affect you because there's a reason why those things don't fit the underwriting guidelines, because it's going to blow up and cause a giant claim and it's going to jack your rates up. So
Yeah, it's
we
a
just
scary
don't even want to
thought.
mess with it.
Yeah, because not only will it hurt you, but it like helps it hurts all the other agents out there.
Everybody.
You know,
Yep,
I'm kind of worried
absolutely.
like, wow, our agents are gonna start manipulating like mileage and like, that's a scary thought to
Yeah.
see, what I hope the agents take is still serious, to and
Yeah.
it's good that, we've developed good habits, but I hope, for the sake of rate and for just sake of doing the right thing and profitability reasons that agents, take those good habits and keep them with them even if it's not tied to bonus. So
Yeah.
it's an interesting change,
Yeah.
but hopefully our actions don't change.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think the company has new tools, like they have ways to analyze data and what's happening, that they can, flag when things are not happening that way. So they really,
Right.
maybe they have the internal, technology to identify those things and address them on a one-off now. I know I've had inquiries from them, saying, hey, we notice this is going on in your agency. Why do you have the more of these than anybody in the state? And I was like, well, because I sell more auto insurance. And they're like, oh, that's a good explanation. This is just part of our data analysis that we do on, to make sure everyone's doing stuff right. So I think they're looking still pretty hardcore. So I would definitely encourage agents not to throw field underwriting to the wayside, because inevitably it will hurt them, and it will, even if they don't get caught, it will mess up their rates and mess up their business.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, yeah, and we all definitely want to have a good
Yeah.
reputation with the company and do the
Yeah.
right thing. But yeah, it's pretty easy for them to have the data,
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah. You're plugging it into the system. It's not a secret, right? You're
yeah.
sending it to them. So the comp plan, there's a lot of good things. I am positive about several things on there. I'm positive that I like the annual calculation rather than the month-to-month calculation, because of the way, sometimes January and February are a little slower month. And
Mm,
so you may have not grown at a rate on the old system in January and
mm,
February to achieve your PGB, which left you in the hole. So you dug a hole January, February, March, April, you had enough to bonus, but
yeah.
because of the hole you dug, you're just digging out of the hole. And then finally, middle of the year, you've dug out of the hole and you can get some bonus. With the new annual calculation, that, will be a truer snapshot of your year and
Hmm.
avoid, missing out on that. So I think that's a really, really good thing. Um, I'm also very happy that they did detach UQI, because, I know several agents who missed their PGB just because of claims, you know, and
Yeah.
you can't, I mean, that's the whole reason why people have insurance, is to file claims. So, if you're doing everything right and your customers file too many claims and you're unprofitable for whatever reason,
Yeah.
and that affects your business, there's nothing you can do about that to some
It's
extent.
kind of like a
So,
gamble or like we can't be fortune tellers.
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm not in love with a system that makes me continually compete with myself. I'm sure that you're kind of on that same wavelength. When
Mhm.
you sell, as much as you do, it's like, hey, you sold 400 policies in, February this year. You're going to have to sell more than 400 next year. So I am thankful that they put the maximum, the maxes in there.
Mhm.
I just think that that's a system that I don't really respond well to, because, I could sell 200 policies, this year, and then next year I sold 195, which is still a really good month. But because I sold 200 last year, I'm not going to bonus. There could be situations where that happens, and that's going to be unfortunate when it does. You know what I mean? Because it's still a really good performance. But you're just competing with yourself year over year. So I don't love that personally, but there are a lot of things to be positive about. So
Yeah, it's kind of
yeah,
like penalizing for past performance. Like
yeah,
if a sports player had a great year, it's like, well,
yeah, yeah,
you know, even though the second year was great compared to other,
yeah,
people, but if it was less than the first year, that there's,
yeah.
yeah. So I kind of agree with that. I don't think it's putting the maxes in and having the growth, goals as reasonable as they are. Um, but it used to be even more. It used to be even more of like past performance could really affect. I remember there was a one bonus where it was like um, I was one of the top in the nation. I didn't get any in another district in my office.
Yeah.
So like 20 policies and made like
Yeah.
20,000. I was like, what's going on here? I
Yeah.
still like 100 times more of policies and the
Yeah.
bonus was bad. So I do like the direction they're going where they kind of ease up on that. But yeah, it is different though. It
Yeah.
is definitely different.
Yeah. It's just a different mindset. It's like, hey, Michael Jordan, you won the championship this year for the Bulls. Next year you've got to play on the Bulls and the Celtics. So have fun with that. So
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, of course it's not that drastic, but whatever. I don't want to get negative. So
No, no, no. It's good to something like that comes out. I need to dig really more into it and find out because it's a big part of our game planning. But
yeah.
all in all, I think the goal is to just grow 400K in premium, right? I think for the
I think that's
annual
the
part.
annual for the one
Uh-huh.
and a half percent. Yep. And so
Right.
that's going to be a target for us for sure.
Yeah.
I'd
Okay.
like to get the extra half point kicker too.
Yeah. For the
So
bit with doing it with the business.
yep.
And to get the kicker, you just have to grow in business too, right? Doesn't have to be any dollar amount, just has to grow.
So I'm still looking at that. It looks like you have to grow by 400 in commercial and 400 in personal.
Oh, both. Okay. To
But
get the kicker.
there it looked like there's a window where if you grow by, you can make up some of the commercial with personal. If you don't, let's say you grew 800,000 in personal, you had to get out of the no bonus zone in commercial, then you could still get the kicker based off of your personal lines premium making up for the commercial premium. I don't know. I've got to look at it some more. Seems a little complex,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
we'll figure it out. I mean, sales fixes everything. So
That's true.
at the end of the day, just sell more stuff and everything's going to work out.
Yeah.
So
And I think that's the great direction the company is going is, just focusing and rewarding people that are, writing new business
yeah,
because that is a difficult thing, the most difficult thing for us to do, to market and to have closers and to consistently do that. So
right.
yeah, in general, I like the direction we're going, but yeah, for Jesse, I mean, for you, I mean, what would you say some other like, moving into the new offices where there are mortgage companies, right? Changing your attitude. Any other aha moments throughout your career during these last 13 years that
Yeah,
just changed things around for you?
yeah, definitely. So, hiring a team, it's always hard to bite the bullet when you're at that point and start hiring people. Now I don't even think about it, but I've got a bigger budget than I did back then. So taking that leap to start hiring a team is always going to return. It's always going to make a return on investment. So that was a definite aha moment for me because through the bad attitude years in the beginning, there was a good 6 or 7 years where I was quadruple Z, that I had no team. And that's probably why I had such a bad attitude. So
It's tough.
yeah,
It's tough
you know, trying
doing
to
it by
do it
yourself.
all.
Yeah.
So yeah, hiring a team and then just building systems. I was already building systems when I read the E Myth. Um, and Lucas Hathaway, my buddy, I think you've interviewed him before,
Hmm.
right?
Yep.
Yeah. So Lucas told me, hey, you need to read the E Myth. While we were talking, he's like, sounds like all the stuff that we're talking about, you're already, like doing E Myth, but you should read it. And, that's a great book that talks about building systems and building your business like you're getting ready to sell it as a franchise.
Hmm.
And that's kind of something that when I read that book, I was like, this is everything that's always been wrong with my agency, and that's wrong with every farmer's agency that I know. So I would say that's a great book on strategy. Where you,
Absolutely. It just
yeah,
changes your mindset of like, you doing the sales and the customer service into detaching yourself from the business and,
Hmm.
working on building that system, building that business rather than you being part of it and doing the work. So yeah, I was
Absolutely.
fortunate enough to read that book really early on in my career too. I absolutely agree with you. That was a game changing book for me too.
Yep. Yep. And then, also I would say my philosophy of just following product management's lead.
Hmm.
I don't think that any agent can be very successful in spite of product management. You know, um, I mean, maybe you can, but it's going to be really hard work. Like
What do
if
you mean?
Farmers doesn't want you to write tow truck companies in California and they make the rates like a gazillion dollars for tow truck companies, if you decide I'm going to be tow truck agent of the year, you're going to have a hard life. You know what I mean? So I tell folks always, hey, find what you're actually competitive on and go that route. Have that be your entry point. If Farmers decided they want to write all of the tow trucks in the world, yeah, maybe you become tow truck agent of the year, and start with a tow truck. You do such a good job on that, and then you'll get all of their other policies because they trust you, right? So for us, we are competitive where I'm at on home. So that's what
Hmm.
we lead with. That's why we lead with that. If we weren't competitive on home, I probably wouldn't be leading with home. If we were competitive on golf carts, I'd be hanging out at the golf course, talking to folks that own their own golf cart. So I just tell folks, hey, find what you're actually competitive on and get into the whole household through that channel, whatever it is, because it's the path of least resistance. So don't fight, product management. If they don't want you writing something, they're going to tell you through the rates, and I say follow it. It's like fighting the Federal Reserve. If you're an investment company, it ain't going to work. So
Yeah, no, that's a great point, Jesse. I love that. You
yeah,
know, farmers will tell us by rates what they want us to write,
yeah,
and it's almost like we all need like a lead product, that we're
yeah,
competitive in. So once we're good in one, then it opens up the door for others. So
yeah.
finding that niche, huh, I think that is true. When I talk to a lot of agents, some of the times we get into a place of struggle maybe when you're just trying to be a jack of all trades and trying to write whatever that comes to you rather
Hmm.
than finding out, what you like to write, what we're competitive in writing, and really marketing and specifically to that niche or to
Yeah.
that product, I think is a great idea.
Absolutely. And also on that, my philosophy of selling insurance personally, maybe just because of, my own marketing systems are, I want to market to people or centers of influence that need what I do to do what they do, right? So like you can't buy a car without insuring it. So if I
Hmm.
was really competitive on auto insurance, I would be going to all the finance, managers at the auto dealerships because they need what I do to, close their deals, right?
Hmm.
And so I like being a part of the buying process for other assets because insurance, while you and I love it, the general population doesn't think that insurance is that sexy, right? They don't like wake up and say, "Well, honey, we should spend this Saturday and let's drive around and get insurance quotes from all of the agents in, Grand Junction." That I don't think that's ever happened, but they might wake up and say, "Oh, let's go look at some houses today." Or, "Oh, let's
Right.
go look at some cars today," or "Let's
That's
go
always
look at
that's a lot funner.
RVs."
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot funner, right? And if I can just be part of that transaction
Mm, right.
that they actually are excited about and make it easy for them to get that thing that they are excited about, then the insurance selling process is really easy because they just have to say yes to me to get that house that they love, that car that they love, that RV that they love, that boat that they love. And I was just one piece of the process, but I did a good job. I made it easy for them to say yes. I answered all their questions and, just did a good job for them. And they said, "Oh yeah, that sounds great. I really just want to stop talking to you so I can get in my boat," so they're just like, "Yeah, sure, whatever," and so, but that's kind of my strategy. It's really easy when you can time that, right? Like the easiest time to sell people home insurance is when they're buying a house. They have to do it. So
Right.
I really like trying to find the opportunities to get into those buying transactions because then they just have to do the insurance as part of something they're actually excited about. So
Man, that's a good one, Jesse.
thanks.
Yeah, no, that's a really good one. That's a great strategy because it's almost like you're helping them do what they want. buying a
Yeah,
house is exciting, buying a car is exciting, buying toys is exciting, and you're just
right.
helping them do what they want to do
Yeah.
rather than like a hassle, it's like a help point of view. And then,
Yeah, and
you
truth be
know,
told, like let's say you're a doctor and you're sitting at home at 6 o'clock on a Saturday and you were playing Candy Crush and you clicked on something, and I called you and I was like, hey, Dan, I can save you $15 a month on your auto insurance. You're just going to hang up on me because you don't even
yeah.
really care. So, it's like, but if you're buying that house that you're sitting in, and I was like, hey, I can just take care of this for you. I just find that the process is easier for me
And I mean,
that
talk
way.
about the closing ratio being so much higher,
My close
because
ratios are 50 to 75% on every quote rerun. Like I track it. It runs between 50 and
wowzers,
75% annually.
that's unbelievable.
Yeah,
But that's because your strategy helps you put your producers in those positions.
right.
Because, and if you think about it, once you buy a house, you got that house, homeowners policy locked in, you're gonna go about your life, and you don't really gonna want to shop it all the time. It's
No,
like a hassle, like so getting it, especially toys or other policies, and if you have everything together, like once you have it at that, if you get them at that moment of their life, a lot of times people won't switch for because just especially if you gave them the great service, and
yeah,
it's hard to get somebody to switch at a random time in their life, unless there's
yeah,
like something going on with like COVID, maybe a lot of people shop around,
right.
but I
Or
think
unless we make them mad, unless we drop the ball, like
yeah,
unless they have a really bad customer service
yeah,
transaction, claims transaction.
but you already hit that in the head many times, doing an excellent job, from the
Yeah,
get.
yeah.
um
And we mess up still all the time.
yeah.
I get hate emails all the time. Hey, you guys are terrible. You messed up. And I'm like, guys, what did we do here? And my philosophy with that stuff is just like, hey, look, this can be a learning transaction or a firing transaction. So if you can learn from it and not do it again, great. You can mess up as many times as you want. It's when we repeat the same mistakes over and over that, anybody ever gets in trouble in my office. So,
Yeah, same here. If you're not making mistakes, you're not trying. So,
oh, yeah,
but the important thing is to learn from it, because you don't want to keep doing
exactly.
it
Yeah.
over and over again.
Yeah. So,
Cool, Jesse. Well, um, what's a word you would use to describe yourself to get you here, man? It's like, it's a lot of agents out there. I mean, agent of the year is the highest honor you could get. There's got to be one thing you could say that, one word that you would use to describe, might be a hard one or maybe an easy one, but what would
yeah.
your word be when it comes to the difference maker of you, and thanks for sharing the experience of turning it around too. I think a
Yeah.
lot of times I do talk to agents that got off to a good start and just kept on going. Obviously it's bumpy,
Yeah.
but for you to hit that low, and to turn it around from there to be where you're sitting now, um, what can you say to help the other people out there?
Honestly, I would say if you ask me for one word, I would say obsessed. I am literally obsessed with growing this business. It's uh, almost to a sick amount, to be honest. I mean, I dream about insurance every single night. I'm selling policies, I'm building scripts, I'm handling claims, I'm having nightmares about my email inbox blowing up and I can't handle it. Every single night, I dream about insurance. When I'm brushing my teeth, I'm thinking about, what I need to do in my office. When I'm at the gym, I'm thinking about working. When I'm at dinner, I'm thinking about working. And then in between there, I'm actually working. So, it's like, honestly, it's
Before,
just,
during, and after.
yeah, it's just, I'm obsessed with it, and I get passionate about it too, like, so, um, sometimes that comes out and, hopefully always in a constructive way. But, um, I, yeah, that would be my be obsessed with it. You're gonna have to be, if you want to be successful. So,
Yeah, no, it totally makes sense. It can't be outliner if you have the same type of mentality or same type of, if we had a casual attitude about it. It's like it's a requirement to be able to do what we do, because it's not easy.
yeah,
So I totally relate with you on that one, man.
yeah,
It's fun, it's challenging, and it takes a lot of time and a lot of thought process and a lot of energy. It is kind of like a gift and a curse at the same time.
Yeah,
Uh,
I, I remember my first President's Council. My buddy Brett Vance from Dallas, he was, I was kind of nervous, and he's like, "Hey, don't worry, all these people are crazy too. Like you have to be able to be doing this at that level." So, I was like, "Oh, okay, that's great." So it's it's fun.
yeah, yeah, no. So, yeah, work ethic. That's all ties into the obsession. I do believe it starts from there. But yeah, man,
So,
that's a great one, and I relate with you in so many different levels what you just said there, and it kind of feels good to know that hey, you know, to be at those presidents councils too. I'm sure because you realize like, hey, I'm glad I'm not the only crazy one.
yeah, yeah, and learn from all the other crazies. Like, hey, tell me all your crazy ideas, and I'll tell you mine. So you can learn a lot at those events, and it's really unfortunately we haven't been able to have them, but
Yeah.
I look forward to getting back to them. It's honestly like one of the best parts of being a farmer's agent is just the culture.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. Well, yeah, thank you, Jesse. Oh, you know what? One other thing I wanted to talk to you about. We did the agent of the year like roundtable thingy.
yeah.
And you said something that was, man, I use it all the time now. You said that you don't have to be passionate about insurance, but
You need to be passionate about helping people,
there you
right?
go. Yep,
Yeah.
that was a
Yeah,
good one, man.
absolutely. Yeah, I had I'm a millennial. I don't know how old you are, but I'm a millennial, and us millennials get a lot of heat, from the older generations of, hey, oh, millennials do this and millennials like quit jobs and this and that. And I hired a guy, and he quit after like a week, and he's like, I'm just not passionate about insurance. And I just instantly started laughing. And I was like, yeah, who is, dude? Like, I'm not passionate about insurance either, and like, but I'm passionate about paying my bills.
Yep.
So, but what I when I thought about that later and I talked to the rest of my team, I was like, yeah, you're never going to be passionate about policy language, or, you know, policy limits or any of that stuff. But what you can be passionate about is helping people, because if you do your job right, whenever the worst things in the world happen to them, they crash their car, their loved ones die in an accident, whatever. If you did your job right, you're going to be probably the biggest thing that helps them out in that scenario. And they're going to love you for it forever. I get hugs from clients all the time, just, we've all got those stories, So yeah,
Hmm.
I tell, I'm glad you like that. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, that would be something I tell, folks, another just kind of mentality is you're never going to be passionate about insurance, unless you're passionate about actually helping your fellow human beings and taking care of the people in your community. So,
Yep. I think we all need a little bit of that, because insurance, even for us, with all the challenges and all the rewards we have, it could still get a little dry. So
oh
to
yeah,
find angles to make your job more enjoyable or more fulfilling,
absolutely.
that's a great way you put it. And I share that with my team, and I think it resonated with them. You don't have to be passionate about insurance, but you got to be passionate about helping people. And
Yeah.
generally, people want to help people.
Oh yeah.
It's all in us. So using that itch to grow our businesses, I think, is a great way to put it and to find more meaning into what we do. So awesome stuff, Jesse.
Thanks,
Thanks
man.
for sharing your knowledge. What has helped you. Looking forward to learning more from each other and helping each other out and seeing you at achievement clubs and sharing our successes and our challenges.
Absolutely, man. Appreciate it. Thanks for having
All
me.
right. Thanks,
All
Jesse.
right. See you.